Alright, so for this picture right here, I have a picture of Spider-Man, and what I want to do is to break down this image into simple shapes. Welcome to my channel where I believe anyone can draw. Here I want to pass on the knowledge of what I have learned throughout the years and help you find your passion for art as I did. This channel is dedicated to my children who inspired me to help teach them and others to draw. I will be primarily using my iPad and an app Procreate, but the foundations of these techniques come from the traditional pencil and paper. I am using this as a base image so I can explain the differences of where you can make the movement line and how to identify the shapes within the character. In order to do that, what I want to do is to go to my layers panel here to my upper right side. As you can see, there is these two double boxes in the Procreate application. And then from the layer, I have it labeled here as inserted image, but I could just name that to Spider-Man. We'll do that really quick. Spider-Man, so we know. And then on this end symbol right here, I'm just going to click that and lower down the opacity. I usually lower down to 20%, and the reason why I want to do that is just so I could have this as an outline. And just for safe measure, what I like to do is just swipe left on that layer and just lock it, just to prevent any mistakes from happening, like accidentally drawing on the layer we're using as an outline. And then for my layer 3, and the top layer right on top is the layer I'm actually going to be drawing on. From there, I'm going to click on my stylus, and I like to use my 6B pencil. You could use whatever pencil you want to, but I prefer the 6B pencil. I just like how it feels and how it flows on the iPad. And from there, I go to my left side of Procreate, and I just crank up the size for 100%. Now, I usually don't actually draw at 100%, but just because we're giving a tutorial here, I just want to make sure that you guys can see the lines that I'm drawing. And also for the opacity, I keep that at 100%. So first thing, what I want to show to you guys and identify is that there is always a movement line. You want to identify the motion of the character. Now this is an easy static motion of Spider-Man. He's just standing up, but you can clearly see that there is a motion from head to toe of this flowing line. So I'm just going to make that quick line, right? And you could just go ahead and sketch it out. Remember, this is just your base layer. So I'm making that center line where he is starting, and I'm just starting from the top of his head all the way down. And that's giving us the motion of where our character is going to stand. From there, I want to identify where his shoulders are at. And I just want to make a line from shoulder to shoulder. You either just do it really slowly or just really fast, and you just want to have a light touch right where the shoulders are. And I'm going to identify the shoulders. From there, I want to identify his waist, which is right here. Now it's giving me where his torso is at, and then I'm going to identify his lower section of his body right here, his hip. And so now I have my basic guidelines. I have my flowing lines, I have my shoulder line, I have my waistline, and I have my hip line. Now I forget what that is actually called, but I call it a hip line for these purposes. Now from there, I want to identify where his head is going to be. And I can see that his head is right here. So I'm just going to make a little indication where his chin is at and where the top of his head. And we could see that his shape, to take all the detail out, is kind of like an upside down egg shape. So I'm just going to lightly sketch over this upside down egg shape right there. Right? So now I got the egg shape here, which is representing my head. Now what I want to identify with those lines is where my torso is at. We can see from this shoulder here, I could make a V that kind of goes this way right here. So now that gives us our rough shape of our torso. And then for our hip, I'm just going to make straight lines from right here. So what I'm going to do now, so you guys can see what we've been doing, is I'm just going to take away that bottom layer and show you what I've come up with. So as you can see here, we made that center line, that shoulder line, that waistline, and that hip line right here. And now it's starting to really take shape and take form. But as you can see, every character, you need to understand to simplify it in the most basic of shapes. Just think of it as Minecraft, where Minecraft is so angular and so basic, but it still gives you the representation, or you can still tell who the character is, and all it is just blocks. And so that's what we're trying to do, is trying to block out our character with simple shapes. So I'm going to turn back on my bottom layer. I'm going to continue to do the same. Okay, so from here I want to just make another line. So if you didn't know, for Procreate, if you just double tap with your 2 fingers, say if I were to make a mistake like that, double tap with my 2 fingers, it will undo the mistake I made. All right, so I'm going to identify where his feet are at, here and right here. All right, so now from here I want to make the limbs, and the same thing that we're going to do, we're just going to use singular lines. So from here, I like to make a nice flowing shape leg, and then I want to bring it down to here. Okay, same thing with this leg, kind of just want to curve it. All I'm doing is just creating those curves. And now I'm just creating the arms. And so what we're creating right now is just understanding stick figures. So I'm going to turn off my bottom layer so you guys can see. So you can kind of tell, and not really, but it's starting to take shape. We got some limbs now. We kind of know where his feet are at, right here. And now we're just going to build off it. And remember, it's just a building process. So let me go back again, turn on that base layer so we can see. And I am going to go now and start making the fist. Just use simple circles. And then for the feet, you could use simple triangles. That's all you want to do. Just remember, simple shapes. I'm just going to use a simple triangle from there, right? And now, same thing. Now when we're going to start fleshing out the body itself, right? So now it doesn't really look like it, but this is where we're going to start refining the process, right? So what I'm going to do, turn on that base layer once again. I'm going to essentially just create shapes for where the arms are going to be. I like using ovals here to represent the arms, right? And some lines to connect the forearm, the bicep, tricep here, and the shoulders here. I'm just going to go ahead and do the same. And I'm just creating circles, just kind of fleshing it out. Now, same thing with his neck, just making 2 lines, and I am just tracing this character. And it's okay to trace. You don't need to feel bad for tracing. Okay, so one thing, we're going to continue to do the legs same way. I like to do a little circle for the knee, right? And then we are going to do the same thing for the feet. I'm just going to fill it out, create circles, the knees, right there. There we go. And we are going to fill it out. All right, so let's turn off that base layer. And now it's starting to look like someone, right? It's starting to flesh it out. Remember, we started off with our basic figures, our lines, and we're going to build off of it. All right, let's turn on that base layer again. Now for this, notice that his torso is actually angled at a 3/4 view. That's a little advanced, but for simplicity's sake, his chest is actually face this way towards my left hand here. So I am going to make another line just to represent where the center of the chest, where the sternum and the middle of your abdomen is going to be. So I'm just going to make that line just so I know that his chest is pointed towards my 3/4 line. And that's just the same essence of making that guideline. And if you guys are a little bit confused, please comment down below, let me know, and I could definitely explain it. This is just a basic tutorial of understanding how to make those shapes. So all right, so I'm going to just now flush out this character, right? And then we are going to turn that off, and I'm just building and starting to flush it out. Let's turn off that base layer, and now you're actually seeing the character Spider-Man. You're actually starting to see that. So this is where we're at right now. We can clearly see where we started at, and how we just simply put shapes, circles, lines, some curves in there to build out this shape. And that's what drawing is, and that's what I mean when you can build a house, but you have to start building the house in a logical layer. So what I like to do here, right, is to add another layer on top, lower down this opacity, and now I could actually start refining it a little bit more. So that's what I'm going to do. And once again, going to lock this just in case I just don't accidentally draw on that layer, and I draw on the layer that I want to, right? So what I'm going to do now is just kind of just refine it, and I like to just to zoom in a little bit more and kind of just bring it down. And essentially what the refining process is just you're cleaning up the sketches. And that's the great thing about digital art. You can erase, but you can just add a new layer, draw on top of your old layer, and just make it, and it's just so forgiving. And I do recommend it for new artists, but I mean, I learned just using a regular pencil and paper, and I remember I used to use and draw whatever I could draw on. So it doesn't mean that you guys go out and you need to go out and buy yourself an iPad or anything like that, but you could use a pencil and paper. These techniques will work on that. This is just what I got here, and this is what I do prefer. Right, so as you can see, I really am just kind of refining. I'm starting to build this body here, right? I'm just kind of filling it out, and just kind of flushing it out now, right? And now once again, just tracing over and cleaning up what I had before. Right, now for a reference, I'm going to turn off that original layer of our Spider-Man. As you can see now, it's starting to look like Spider-Man, and that's where I'm going to stop. Please like, subscribe, share if you guys got any questions. I'm going to do more of these tutorials in the future. I think the next one I'm wanting to do is how to add those details. I think these basic YouTube videos will help you guys understand the fundamentals, and we could build off of it.